So today we're here with Poolee Larsen, what we really want to bring to you guys today is just some insight, right, into her journey on towards becoming a Marine. What her enlistment process has been like, which led her to make the decision to become a Marine, and then we'll let her talk about the delayed entry program and how it's helped you so far, because you're a guide, right?
Yes, sir.
You've been our guide for a little while now, and so I'd like for you to share some of that with our audience today. But let's start kind of from the beginning, right? Like as a little girl, right, or growing up, did you always know you wanted to be in the military?
Not at first. So when I was a kid, I always grew up and I knew I wanted to save people's lives. It was weird. I always wanted to be a doctor, and specifically for some reason a cardiologist. I always thought the heart was fascinating. Saving people's lives was fascinating. As I grew up, I got introduced to law enforcement and police, and I saw what they were doing, and I was like, that's very interesting. And as I grew and matured a little bit, I was watching, documentaries, crime documentaries, and I got interested into the cold case stuff. I was interested in how those officers are able to go in and figure out those cases. So then I jumped into the journey of, I don't really want to go to college and be in debt. But I was like, but there's another option I can take to also go serve my community by being a cop. Mm-hmm. And when I started that, I was very interested, and I was like, yeah, that would be awesome. I have that deep rooted in me. I want to go out and save people. I want to be there for people, to protect my country, to protect the state I live in, my community. And after a couple years, it was more of a recent light where I started looking into the military. I had noticed the Marines coming into my schools. I noticed the Army. So I started talking, taking time, you know what, why don't I actually give it a shot and actually talk to them? Because what can I lose from talking to a recruiter, and if they're always there? And one day I had finally stopped, and it was actually Staff Sergeant Hood, who I had talked to, my recruiter previously. And I sat there and I had a conversation with him. And I was like, okay, I'll get back to you. And that was about my freshman year. And about a year later, my stepfather, I asked him, as he is a Marine, I was like, what could I do to maybe interact with the Marines? I'm kind of interested to see what they do. So that's how I got introduced to the Poolee program. I was told I would need either parent consent or, I could wait until I was 17, 18 to start showing up. So I had luckily got my parents to sign, and I started showing up to PTs, and I figured, hey, this is actually kind of something I want to be a part of. And after I realized what the Marine Corps was about, being there for others, being there as a team, and having your brothers and sisters' backs, I realized that it's also something where you can go protect your country, serve your community, and be there for others and protect others. And so once I found that out, that's where my mindset, I guess, kind of changed. I was like, I could still be a cop, but there was something that Marine had called to me. And after I had started stepping into working out and figuring out hey, maybe I do have what it takes, and having all that support from other Poolees who were there as well, and of course from the recruiters, it was something that kind of changed my world and my viewpoint on it a little bit. Because I was always told the military this, it's bad in this way, it's bad in that way. And I've always had these different opinions, but the only true opinion I had was myself. I had to go make that opinion for myself on hey, what's it about? I had asked my stepdad, as he's a Marine, I was like, what did it offer you? What did it give you? And he's like, it gave me experiences. He's like, I got to travel for no cost. I got to make friends. He's like, I've been able to see the world. And he's like, all because that's what the Marines gave me. And after I talked to him about it, I was like, that's something that I'm interested in, because I love to travel. I would love to be able to see the world. And if it comes to the day, help others and be there for others.
Yeah, I got you. So as you were, I guess, looking into the military, I think in general, right? Would you say you were leaning towards the Marine Corps because your stepdad is a Marine, or did you look into other branches of service as well? How did you land on the Marine Corps? You were like, definitely, this is what I want to pursue.
I I was looking into other branches. I've had people say like, oh, your stepdad's a Marine, so that's why you want to be a Marine.
Right.
And it was never that. He never even told me, like, when I went up to him initially, I was like, hey, Dad, I'm interested in being a Marine. He was shocked. Like, he didn't even expect it. He was like, I never in a million years would have thought you would say something like that.
Why do you think he had that reaction?
Because he never really pushes it on to us. Like, he's never like, oh, like, I want you guys to train like I train. I want you to act the way I act. Like, of course, like, he teaches us manners and stuff, and he wants to raise us right and just give us the best child he can. But he never like pushed, the Marine Corps memo onto us. Like, he just wanted us to grow up and experience our childhood and be kids, be teenagers and, have a good life. So when I think I came to him and told him, hey, I think I want to be a Marine, I think he was kind of taken back. Like, I never raised her to want to be a Marine. I never pushed her to want to be a Marine. But as a kid, when I would go see my mom during the summers, I was always asking to tag along with him. I was like, can I go to the office with you? Like, hey, like, can I go on a run with you? Hey, can I go work out with you? So I was always wanting to work out with him and other Marines and run with him. Like, I always wanted to be around that environment. And I think when I was a kid, I just found enjoyment from it. Like, it was just, they were always so nice. And like, whenever you would talk to Marine, and when I was a kid talking to Marines, like, they were always there supportive, doing like pull-ups as a little girl. Like, they were always like, yeah, let's get it. And so I think when I did tell him, I was like, hey, Dad, I'm interested in the Marine Corps. I think that's what he was like. Wow, like, she found that on her own. Because I never asked him, like, hey, what do I have to do to get into it? Instead, I was like, hey, I want to be a Marine. And that just started by when I started talking to the recruiters that would show up. I was talking to the Army recruiters, and as much respect as I have for the Army, it's just when you talk to a Marine for the first time, I don't know what it was, but it just draws you in because they tell you, do you have what it takes? Like, are you willing to prove to yourself, not to others, but to yourself, that you can do it? And I think that's what drew me to the Marines more than the other branches, because they were like, oh, like, Air Force, stuff like that, and Navy, like, oh, college, family supports it a little bit more. But when you say Marines, that's like rugged, that's tough, that's gruesome. Like, everybody thinks the Marine Corps, that's brutal. Like, why would you want to destroy your body? Why would you want to go through that pain? And I think that's the exciting part of it, is like, because when you hear Marines, you just think, damn, what they had to go through to get to that point. And it's like, they earned that for a reason. And that's something I want to be a part of. I want to be able to earn that for myself and not my family, not my parents, but something where I can say, yeah, I did that because I wanted to do it.
What's the benefit of that for you?
For me, a lot of it's discipline. Like, I feel like it puts you in that mindset of like, if you can put your mind to it, you can do it. Like, the only thing that stops us is our mind. Like, if we tell ourselves, oh, we can't do that, or, oh, I don't want to get out of bed this morning, like, oh, I don't want to go work out, like, you're preventing yourself from taking that next step. And for me, taking that next step is pushing myself to the best of my abilities. And with boot camp, that's exactly what it does. It's not so much a physical, it's more a mental battle. And to have that challenge, I think, would be something a lot of people should go through. Like, I feel like you should be challenged to that point of like, you want to break down. But then only to be realized you can rebuild from ground zero, and you can be stronger than you ever thought you could be. And in my life, I've never been pushed to that challenge. I feel like there's always something I'm looking for, always another challenge I'm looking for. Like, I always want to improve myself, and I feel like, to me, the best way would be going through boot camp to become a Marine. Because, you can have hardships all throughout life, but there's just something that they do in boot camp, and I've seen the changes from Poolees that have now become Marines. And you can see, before they become a Marine, they have those mindsets, but after they come out, they have been so filed down, squared away, and built up to an exemplary person that it's like incredible. Like, they always talk about the transformation from going in to coming out of boot camp, and that is something that is amazing to see, and I would love to be a part of.
If you're watching this video and you've made it this far, I know what you're thinking. Marine Corps is not for me. But I say, you just don't know enough about it yet. So why don't you reach out to us on Instagram? Our handle is Boise_Marines. We'll help you learn something new, discover your opportunities in the Marine Corps, and it could be something that changes your life. We hope to hear from you soon. Now let's get back to the video. Yeah, where do you think that that internal drive for challenge comes from for you? Because a lot of people don't really think that way, right? We live in a world where everything's super comfortable. You don't really have an opportunity to challenge yourself or test yourself, often, especially at any age nowadays. So where does that come from for you? Where does that desire to be challenged come from for you?
I think it's mostly from the way I was raised, because I always grew up, with my parents just pushing me, especially being someone who came from racing dirt bikes.
Okay.
It's always that challenge of I want to be better than the person on to my left and to my right. I want to go out there and push myself to get that first place or second place. I want to get on that podium. I want to earn that. But you can't earn it without putting in the work. You can't earn it without training hard. You can't earn it without practicing 24/7 and failing over and over until you can get to that point of success. But, success, that only happens so often. You can have it once in a while, and then, hey, now you got to start from the bottom again and work your way back up. And going through racing, that's what kind of gave me that challenge. It was always a new challenge, because you start in one class and you can work up and you can be number one in that class. And then soon enough, you're put back on the bottom of the next class, and you have to work up your way to the first one. And then it restarts all over again. And since I was a kid, that's how it's always been. Just that cycle of starting from the bottom, working my way up, starting from the bottom, working my way up. And I always wanted to prove that I could do it. And I think it also helps, having family, friends, and people in the communities that push yourself. And my competition was my brother. And it's what we always used to butt heads, but he truly was my competition. I always wanted to either be better than him or learn as much as I could from him. Because when I looked at him racing, I was like, man, I wish I could do that. I wish I could learn how to do that. I wish I could be faster. I wish I could be better. So he was what started kind of that internal, I wanted to challenge myself to be as good as him. And when I turned that into, I started getting advice from him. And my father also helped out a lot, because there's only so many years that you can take getting dirt thrown in your face by both your brother and your father. And one day, after going through those hardships and challenges of man, this kind of sucks. I don't like eating dirt all day. And I started learning from them, pushing myself harder and harder and harder. And then soon it kind of changed around a little bit. Soon I got to be racing with them rather than behind them. It really started when I was a kid. It was just having the right people around me to push me to be better.
Gotcha.
They never really let me settle, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So your environment, really, right? Your environment, having good people around you, people that challenged you, either directly or indirectly. Okay, so where do you find that? Do you find that to be very similar here inside of the delayed entry program? And if so, how has it helped you thus far?
So with the delayed entry, the first time I had came in,
let's talk about the first time you came.
The first time I had came in was intimidating. I'm not gonna lie, I was the only female who was there that showed up. And so being there with a whole bunch of guys that were all 6 foot, just jacked, big, I was kind of sitting there and I was like, this is a little weird. I can't, show up and not put out. So the initial thought was I gotta put out. I gotta show up and do what I came to do. If I wanna do this, I'm gonna do it. And I couldn't, let them all show me up. I was like, I might be a girl, but all right. So working with them in the first PT I did, it was brutal. It was hot, it was sweaty, the sun was awful. I remember just absolutely dying. People were throwing up, people were having heat stroke, it was insane. But we had gotten done with the PT, and one of the guys actually came up to me and he gave me a fist bump, and he was like, damn. And he was like, you kept up with us. And I think that's where it started in the delayed entry for me, is that I had that recognition from other people at my first day of yeah, you put in the work. Like, we recognize that. And after I kept showing up every single week, 2 times a week that we were doing it during the summer times, like, they kept, recognizing that, like, hell yeah, like, that's impressive. Like, you keep showing up with us, like, you keep working out with us, and you're not losing pace, you're staying with us in these, like, awful workouts. Not awful, but they weren't awful, but they were tough, like, especially for my first couple months. Like,
Right.
it was not easy. It's never gonna be easy. Like, there are some PTs we do, and I'm like, wow, that was an interesting one. But after going through that, like, they still would push me until they had all left for boot camp. Then it was like me and a few others. And I was like, well, dang, all the guys who were pushing me to be better, that I was trying to keep up with, and I was trying to show that I could do it, now they're gone, and it's me, Maravich, and Watson that are left. Like, now we have to be there for other people coming in. And so it shifted from, being pushed by these other Poolies that are now Marines to us being the Poolies or the guests, having to inspire other people and push them. And, it's challenging because there will be a few people who will show up, and it's like, okay, like, all right, we got this. And then you have some people who are like, okay, like, we're going to push you, like, you got to do it.
Yeah.
And that's what I had from those Poolies that are now Marines, and then that's what I'm trying to do with everybody else.
Right.
While I'm also pushing myself, like, as much as I possibly can, it's good to be there for others and push them, because I know they can do it, and because I've been in that same situation of like, oh, I can't do it anymore. Like, oh, this sucks. Like, I know you can do it. Like, you're just telling yourself that right now. And it's
Right.
like, soon you'll be to that point where you're like, let's go, let's get it.
Right. So you've seen growth in yourself and growth in others since you've been
100%.
here, right? Yes, I know you were a guest with us, right, for a long time.
Yes, sir.
Before you were actually able to enlist, and I've never really seen that. I've never really seen someone be that committed to doing something like this. Because you were a guest for like a year.
Yes, sir.
Right. And I know the reason why you were a guest for a while was because there was some issues right there with you being able to enlist because you were underage. Mm-hmm. And I think there was there some friction there with your family, like they didn't really want you to do it. Can you speak on that a little bit? Like what was happening there between you and your parents, and then how you could have let that affect you, mm-hmm. right? Like, all right, well, my parents don't want me to do it, so I guess I'm just gonna let it go, right? Can you speak on that a little bit? Just so there might be somebody out there, right, who's going through like something similar and like, hey, my parents don't want me to do it, I want to do it. Like, what was that like for you, and how did you handle that? How did you stay committed to becoming a Marine, sticking around, staying motivated, keep coming to PT, even though your family didn't want you to do it?
It was rough, I'm not gonna lie. The first time I had even mentioned the Poolee or DEP program to my parents, I was about 16, and that's when I had called up and I was like, hey, do you guys have like a Poolee program? Mm-hmm. The minute I had told my father, I'd approached him and I was like, hey, I'm kind of interested in working out with the Marines, like not saying I'm joining, like I just want to work out with them. Mm-hmm. Very apprehensive, saying like, oh, you shouldn't do that. Like, no, I don't support that. You don't need to go get influenced by the military, by the government. The thing with my parents, I think it's a big government thing. Like they have their opinions, like a lot of people do, with the government and how it works with our military and honestly everything in our lives. So I would say my parents are definitely a big government motivated. Like they're very influenced by like how they see the military through that view. Okay. Because my stepfather, as a Marine, of course, he's like, oh, I don't care what you do, go do it. It took about a year until later on I stepped in here in May and I was like, I'm doing it. Like, Dad, you're signing this paper, I'm doing it. Mm-hmm. And they weren't initially too happy about it. But at the end of the day, like, there wasn't much they could do. I was just working out. And that's what I had told them. I was like, hey, I'm just working out. Like, I'm not telling you to sign a paper to send me off to war. I'm not telling you to sign a paper and I'm never seeing you again. I'm just telling you to sign a paper so I can go work out with some cool guys for a couple days a week.
Right.
Like I can go meet some new people, make some friends. And I was like, and all it's going to take is maybe 2-3 hours of my time.
Right.
Not your time, my time. And for that whole year of being a guest, I think in the first couple months, my parents were still like, absolutely not. We hate the military, don't want you in the Marines. We don't even want you a part of it. Mm-hmm. And then I think it's around November, December is where there was kind of a little curve. I think they started to see how motivated I was. And it wasn't that I was telling them like, hey, I want to be a Marine. It was that they just saw how happy I was, the stories I had to tell just from the recruiters, from the Poolees, like how excited I was to talk about it. I mean, there's so many times I would come back home every single day from PT and I would just be ready to talk about what happened, excited to show them the workouts we were doing, the new things I was learning, the new speeches that the recruiters or you yourself would give. And I was like, man, I heard this like 6th speech today. Like I got to tell you what I heard, what I learned today. And I think for me doing that for multiple months, just on and on and on, I think they finally started to see like, hey, she's kind of serious about this. Like she wasn't joking. And I think that's when they went from, oh, you know, she's not too serious. She's probably just thinking about it. And I think that's when it shifted to, no, she seems pretty serious. Like they've been, you know, putting the work in her. And then it was a couple months ago around February where I kind of told them, I was like, hey, my birthday's coming up and I'm signing, I'm enlisting. And it wasn't I was surprised because I think that whole year where they had saw me going from, you know, being weaker, I was weaker from when I first started. Mm-hmm. Like I had a different mindset, I had a different personality. And I think they went from seeing this closed off, quiet girl to now being open and verbal, talking nonstop. I think they get annoyed with me talking now. And always saying good things about the recruiters, about the Poolees, about the Marine Corps. And I think they finally got to that point of like, we're proud of you. Like you're making a decision for yourself. And as much as it hurt me to have to wait until I was 18, I do respect it for my parents because I understand where they were coming from as in, well, we want you to be an adult to make that decision. And I understood that, unfortunately. Like when I did turn 18, I was like, yeah, like I get it. They're my parents. They're just looking out for me. I was like, it sucks that it took this long. And I was like, but I'm glad that they finally understand this is something I want to do. And they have seen my mindset change to see how every day I keep setting new goals. Like I'll come around and I'll be talking with my dad after school one day and I'm like, guess what? I ran 6 miles here and from to school. I was like, I didn't even have to drive. And he was like, that's pretty cool. Or I was like, oh, hey dad, I hit a new, record for myself from running for so long because I've been doing it for 3-4 months. Like I hit a new record. He's like, that's awesome. And deep down, I know that he's proud that I'm doing it and it might bug him a little bit. And I've noticed that, my stepfather's a Marine, so he's like, oh, you're influenced. And I was like, I understand that. And we talk about racing all the time. He's like, you're giving up racing. I was like, I'm not giving it up. I was like, I'm just expanding my options. Racing will forever be a part of my life, but there's been too many instances where when I push myself on a dirt bike, I end up getting hurt. And it's happened with my brother. Sure, if we had spent our entire childhood just racing, which other parents do, they spend no school, no nothing, just racing. I was like, it might have been a different turnout. I was like, but we were just that family that liked to go out and ride. And that's what I said. I was like, I like to ride. I'll never lose that ability to ride. I was like, but I know there's something so much greater out there. I was like, and I want to prove that to myself. And I want you to stand there one day and be like, yeah, I can see it now. And I think they're starting to see that, especially because I just come home. That's all I talk about. We just talk about being here.
I gotcha. Is something that you look forward to doing every week, would you say?
100%.
Yeah.
Like every time I know there's a PT, I'm just like pumped up. Like I'm just ready to go. Like I look forward to it all the time. I always talk to my friends about it. I talk to my counselors about it, my teachers about it. Like I think if you asked one person like close to me here and you're like, does she ever talk about it? They'd be like, she never stops talking about it. Like it's a problem. Like I think my parents sometimes get annoyed because I'll spend 2 hours talking to them about what we're doing.
Yeah.
But I think just every time we do a PT, like I'm always excited to see what we're gonna do because it's always different. It's never the same. And that's the best part about it is you're never gonna have a PT that's the same. Sure, there's some workouts that are the same, like burpees.
Right.
Yeah. We're gonna do burpees. Like, you're never not gonna do burpees, but like I just love looking forward to being like, okay, I wonder what we're gonna do today. Is it gonna be an hour? Is it gonna be 2 hours? Is it gonna be 45 minutes? Like, what are we doing? Like,
It's random.
that's what I love.
It's a surprise.
I love it because,
Yeah.
you know, I have my own workout schedule of working out each week, but it's always these ones that I look forward to the most because I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to go. Like, I'm ready to push myself and I'm ready to help others push themselves because as much as I like working out by myself, when you're with other people, it's just that community. Like, you want to work together to make other people better, but also yourself.
Gotcha. Yeah. What do you think? What do you think that you've seen the most growth? You know, from a development standpoint, would you say physical, like physical fitness? Would you say it's been mindset? Would you say it's been maybe a spiritual component? Right. Where would you say you've seen the most growth since you've started coming here?
Ooh, the most growth. Honestly, it's a little bit of all of it. Like, physically, I was never someone who would wake up and say, I want to go for a run. Like, I was never like that. Like, I would run once in a while, but I was never like, yeah, let's go for a run. After starting the Poolee program, that all changed. I started getting up 4:30, started running every single day. As much as I hated running, I kept doing it. So my endurance not only improved, I was taking weightlifting, but I stopped taking weightlifting because I didn't care much about the bulkiness. I cared more about the repetitions, the endurance portion of it. And, you know, the ammo cans, everything you can do with ammo cans, your body weight, calisthenics, stuff like that that can improve your mobility, but also keep you in shape just enough for that endurance portion of it, because that's what's really important. Mentality-wise, I was very closed off. I was very quiet. Like, I was very reserved in like what I thought was correct and what was right because of the opinions of my parents, my grandparents, you know, friends, the school. But after stepping into a whole different world that was like, hey, like, it pretty much slapped me across the face and said, hey, wake up.
Yeah.
Like, you're in a new place now. Like, you're going to learn some new things. And stepping into a different world of like, oh, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. It was more of like, we can work with this, we can work with that. Like, here, we're going to show you something that you never even would have thought of. Like, we're going to show you how to improve yourself, and you're going to be like, what? And especially with the speeches, when you guys would tell us something, like if we were at a Poolee event at the end, giving that speech, or just talking to us, like, it changes your whole mindset of how you see things, how you see people, your environment. Like, I went from being like, oh yeah, the people around me are, you know, my best friends. Like, I wouldn't question them. The people around me, you know, we all have the same mindset. But now I go into these crowds, I go into these schools, these friend groups, and I'm like, I see it completely different. Because I see how you guys have shown me how the environment can affect you. And now I'm actually using my own eyes and seeing it. Like, I can recognize how it affects me as a person. And honestly, it's just changed me, like, as a person. Like, now I'm more open. Now I put myself in situations I never really would have put myself in, like, especially speaking up, talking in front of classes, or, you know, being verbal with other people. Like, I never would have thought I'd be a person that'd be like, hey, like, going to help others. Like, I was always that person who's very reserved, very quiet, like, oh, someone will go help them. But now I'm like, no, I'm gonna go help them. Like, I see someone who needs help, I'm gonna go help them. And it's kind of weird. Like, I always thought, like, oh, if I want to help people, I got to do it. But it really took me coming here and learning from you guys that finally got me to that next step of, like, putting myself out there rather than just being like, someone else will do it. Yeah.
Gotcha. Taking action.
Yes, sir.
Actually, like, being a leader, right?
Yes, sir.
Damn, that's super cool, right? Because I think a lot of people, when they think about the Marine Corps and that transformation, they think it happens like when you leave the boot camp, you know? But I think the transformation happens all throughout, right? And I think, what would you say, like, as you were a guest for a whole year, right? And obviously now you're a Poolee, but your tenure here has been pretty extensive. Would you recommend that? Like, would you recommend people to, you know, come be a guest or be a Poolee for a long time? Or Would you say, nope, all you need is a month or two with these guys, right? And then you'll be ready. Like, what's your recommendation for people, do you think, from your experience?
From my experience,
Yeah.
I have seen a lot for being here for so long. I've seen a lot of people come and go. I've seen some people walk in one day and then the next day they're gone. They go to boot camp. And in my experience, I think it's amazing to be here for maybe more than 4 months because, you know, you can get so much in a month, but there's only so many PTs we have.
Right.
I feel like 4 or 5 months is pretty solid. A year, even better. 2 years, even better. If you can start as young as you can with parent permission, I say do it because not only are you, you know, showing up and being like, hey, I might be young, but I'm going to be here for, you know, a couple years. Like I can learn a lot.
Right.
And it gives you that knowledge portion. Like that's where I started. Like with my knowledge, that the knowledge sheets they give us, I started working on that. I've been working on it for months, well, a year now.
Right.
Like, and especially before going to boot camp, you need it. Like, especially hearing from other Marines, like, hey, yeah, you do need to know this. Like, I wish I would have known this before I went in. And I'm like, well, weren't you here for like a month or two? And he's like, yeah, but like, that wasn't a lot of time for me. He's like, if I would have known, I would have started studying way before. And I would definitely say like the knowledge portion, you get to learn a lot. Like, it's not like you're just showing up, you know, like moving an ammo can, doing suburbies. Like you're also like teaching yourself things that you need that are important for boot camp, but your physical ability, you're never just gonna show up to one PT and be good. Like it happens over months, over years. And for me, if I were to just show up last year and be like, okay, I'm gonna go to boot camp, I don't think I would have been ready at all, mentally or physically. And I don't think you're ever going to be ready for boot camp, but if you were to show up to, you know, Poolee workouts and stuff for at least a solid 4 or 5 months to a year, you'd be pretty set because it gets you into that motivation to show you like, hey, these freaking suck. And there have been some PTs where I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna get through it. And then that one little ounce I find just either from hearing someone yell at me or hearing someone say, hey, pick it up. Like, why are you slowing down? And then all of a sudden, as hard as it was for maybe that first hour and a half, that last 20 minutes out of nowhere, I'm like, holy crap, it's not that bad. Why am I complaining? Like I went from dying and not being able to breathe to now I'm pushing as hard as I possibly can and I just completed the workout. Like, I think a lot of people just expect boot camp to be like, oh, like I can get through it. Like that's not gonna happen. And the great thing with these PTs is it shows you like, you don't think you can get through it, but you can. And I don't think a lot of people expect that. Like they're like, oh, I'm just gonna go to boot camp. It's just a lot of working out and running. No, like it's more in your head than it is anything. And for being here for so long, I've found that out. Like, oh, it's not about how strong you are, about how fast you are. It's about how long you can keep going for. Like, is your brain gonna tell you to stop? Like, are you gonna tell yourself like, oh, I can't do it? Or are you gonna find that little bit left in you or like, oh, yeah, it sucks, it hurts, it burns. Like, oh, I don't think I can keep lifting it. And then you find that little ounce and you're like, no, I can do it. Like, oh, I can keep pushing. These people are counting on me. Like, I gotta be there for them. I gotta finish for them. Like, come on, like I gotta pick up my weight. So I think that's the great thing about being here for so long is it gives you that mental challenge before you go into boot camp. Like it's challenging you to prove to yourself you can do something.
I got you. Yeah. So do you think the amount of time that you've been here has contributed to the position that you hold now inside of the Poolee program, right? Because you're the guide, right?
Yes, sir.
And I remember you mentioning earlier on in the conversation, like I came here, I was the only female, right? Like my first PT sucked, and now you're out there and you're leading, right, a group of young men, and we have some other young ladies that show up now too, right? But now you're in a leadership position, right? Do attribute that to the amount of time that you've been here? Or is that something that you think was already inside of you, like your ability to lead, and this process just kind of brought that out of you?
I think it did bring it out of me a little bit because I remember the first time they had asked me to be a guide and I was like, what is that? Like a guide, what do you mean? Like, isn't that something you do in boot camp? And it was kind of like a shock factor. I was like, why would you want me to do it? And I think initially when Staff Sergeant Rabina had brought it up to me, it was because I think at the time they saw something in me that I didn't quite see yet. And from changing from being, you know, kind of like hanging back to having to put myself out to help others and to, lead other people, that brought it out of me more. Like I was so comfortable being comfortable that I was put into a position that was like, oh, this is weird. I don't know if I like this. And then I adapted, I changed, I grew into it. And then I was like, oh yeah, I kind of like this. Like this is something I find fascinating. Like I want to keep doing this. I want to be able to help other people, to lead other people. And it's definitely molded how I see things in life. Like,
How so?
So from being someone who's quiet and reserved, now when I'm like in classrooms or if I'm out in public, like I want to be a leader. Like I've noticed I'm like, I want to be able to help people. Like I've had other leaders help me. I was like, I want to be like that guy. Like I want to be like my recruiter. I want to be able to lead other people. Like having that mindset instilled in me. And I was like, we're all comfortable in our little bubbles, but it just takes one person to push us out. And I was like, I want to be that one person that can push people out of their comfortable bubbles now. I was like, I was pushed out. I was like, now I kind of want to test the waters with other people. I was like, that it was just so interesting to me, like how one person can affect someone so much. And I think to me, I would want to be someone like that. Like, because I see the potential of so many people even now in my age group, like within school, my friends, or, a few of the Poolees or guests. Like I see how comfortable they were, like I was. And to me, I want to push them out of that. I was like, if the recruiters did it to me, I was like, but I want to kind of do that. Like I want to start doing that, start pushing people to be uncomfortable. Because once they changed my position and how I viewed things, I was like, I can get a whole bunch of other people to start changing their opinions on things. And I was like, just from those who have helped me, I can help others now.
I got you. So let's talk about that a little bit, right? Because I think that's interesting. How is it that you're able to see potential in people now that they can't see for themselves, right? And what do you attribute to that, would you say?
It's definitely from what they put out. Like when I see people say, I can't do it, or no, I can't do it. Like I'm too tired, I'm too sore, it hurts. It's just that moment where you can kind of see it in them where they're like, oh, I can't keep doing it, but they still like act like they want to keep going. Like you can kind of get that feeling from someone of like, nah, you can keep going. You're just comfortable. You want to stop. Like you want to take a break. And that's how I was. Like I was like, nah, I don't want to keep going. But I still had it in me. I just didn't want to keep going. And I think from being in that position, I can see it in other people because I've been in that position.
You recognize it.
Yes. I've been in that moment of like, yeah, no, I don't want to keep doing it. And now that I'm like in that position where I can see it, I'm like, that's where I used to be. But they're going to stay there if someone doesn't take them out of it. So whenever I see other people in it, I'm like, okay, like, yeah, it's going to be uncomfortable. You look uncomfortable. Yeah, I've been there. We've all been there. But you can't stay there. Once you get out of it, you're never going to go back to it. And I've seen it a few, like when it comes to running. Like, yeah, running sucks. Nobody likes running. Like, I don't think anybody's going to say like, oh, yeah, I love running. Like, let's go for a run. And it sucks. But as long as I can tell people, I'm like, don't walk. You don't have to walk. You don't even have to freaking sprint. I was like, as long as you don't walk, that's all I'm looking for. Because I know people can still keep going, even if it's like a little feather jog. I was like, that's all you need. And I think by starting that is like, it changes their mindset. Like, oh, like, yeah, I don't have to walk. Like, I can keep going. And I love seeing that change in people because I've been there. I've been in those situations of like, no. Like I've been on a time where I could barely even run 2 miles. Like I would get to the end of like 1.5 miles and I was like, I can't do it. Like I gotta walk. And then after I started getting that little shove of like, no, like you're just giving up on yourself. Like you don't want to keep doing it because you're comfortable. And once I got out of that, 2 miles turned into nothing. And then it was going on to 4 miles and 4 miles got hard and I got out of that bubble. That became nothing, 6 miles and so forth. And when I see that in other people, I'm like, let's do it. Like, let's get them out of that.
Yeah. Do you see any resistance there, like when you're trying to push people or you're trying to motivate people, right? Maybe get them to see their own potential. Do you see any resistance there from people, and how does that typically like project onto you?
It's definitely hard. It can be difficult at sometimes because there will be some individuals who just don't want to do it. Like they will give up. And as much as I try and push them, as much as I try and tell them like, let's keep going, like you're right there, like sprint there, like you're done. And they're just like, no. And it's hard. Like, and I had to learn that, you know, through you guys, like, hey, trying to be a leader is going to be difficult. You're going to have pushback. You're going to have people who are going to say no or give up or quit on you or not even show up again. And the best I can say for me is not to give up on them. Because even if they give up on themselves, I can't give up on them. Because the minute I give up on them, then that's all it is. Like they think, oh, that's it. They don't care about me. They don't want to help me. Like, why should I even show up? So as much as I could be annoying to people, or if I become intimidating or angry to people, like I think it's better to keep telling them to keep pushing themselves, to keep telling them to finish, to keep telling them to, you know, finish strong. Like I think by me doing that, eventually they start to be like, oh, maybe I should try. Like, oh, maybe it's not too bad. Or like, oh yeah, she's right, there's only a little stretch left. But instead of just giving up on someone and saying like, oh yeah, you don't want to try? Okay, I'm not going to help you. You got to keep trying to help them, because eventually it breaks down that little wall they put up of like, oh no, I'm uncomfortable, I don't want to do that. It starts chipping away. And then eventually it comes down, and then they realize, hey, I can do it. Like, I don't have to give up anymore.
Yeah. Do you think they kind of expect you to just give up on them? Yeah, that's interesting, man. Yeah, I mean, we see that all the time, right? We see that all the time, and I agree with you. You got to keep pushing people. You got to know when you got to know how hard to push people, right? And how often and how much, right? And I think there's somewhat of an art and a science to leadership, right?
Yes.
And I think we're always trying to refine that in ourselves, right? And we try to, I think, teach you guys the same thing, right? Especially if you hold a leadership position, right? Like guide, squad leader. But you know, at the end of the day, like the Marine Corps has the mindset of like, hey, you're always training a replacement, right? So, and you never know who that's going to be, right? Because sometimes the most unexpected people step up, and you're like, dang, man, like, okay, like, I didn't. Right, like I didn't even expect that, but I think that happens when people finally see it in themselves, right?
Yes.
At every level, right? If starting from like people who you would never expect to, you know, to see here as a guest for PT, and then all of a sudden, like they're ready, right? They're ready to become Marines, or people who show up and on their first day, like they're thrown up everywhere, right? And they're ready to give up, and then next thing you know, they're a guide or a squad leader. So I really enjoy this aspect of the Marine Corps, right? Where we just get to mold people, you know, from the get-go. I think a lot of people think that the transformation like starts when you go to boot camp, and it happens through your drill instructors. But I think where it really starts is here.
It does.
I think so, because I've seen a lot of changes, not just in you, but in all the other Poolees in our program, and I'm super proud of you guys, man, because we really are. I mean, Boise's kind of weird, man.
It is really weird.
There's a lot of veterans out there. But I feel like they kind of hide, you know, and so I think my goal is to break out of that, right? Because I don't know why that is. You know, I'm super proud to be a Marine, you know, and it's not like I go in and like I blurt out to people, but I still conduct myself as one out there in the community, and my goal is just to help mold the next generation of Marines, and I know you're going to be a great addition to the team, man. What would you tell someone who's curious, who's looking into the military in general, or specifically the Marine Corps, somewhat hesitant to come and see what it's all about? What advice would you give to them in regards to their hesitation?
Do it. Because at the end of the day, you're not losing anything from looking into it. You're not losing anything from talking to a recruiter. The most you're going to do is have a conversation, and they're going to tell you like what you want to hear. Like, hey, what jobs do you guys have? Or what are the benefits I can get out of it? Or, you know, what does being a Marine entail? Like, that's initially where it starts, is that one talk with the recruiter. You don't have to be in person, you can do it over a phone. But for me, I preferred like that person-to-person contact, because you're getting the feel for it. Like, you're getting to see them, their true emotion of like, okay, like they're serious about what they're talking about. But for anyone who's hesitant, it's like, you're not gonna lose anything. Like, the most you're gonna do is be like, okay, well, I talked to him. And if you don't wanna do it, you don't wanna do it. But I'm gonna tell you right away, that one little speck in you that told you to go talk to a recruiter pretty much tells you all you need to know. Because you already took that first step in getting out and talking to a recruiter. I was like, no normal person thinks, oh, I want to join the military. And specifically, no normal person sits down and is like, I want to go Marines. Like, I don't think anybody wakes up one day and is like, oh, I want to go talk to a Marine recruiter. Like, that, I think, starts somewhere. Like, you've either seen a Marine, you've either been around Marines, you've grown up with Marines around you, you've grown up on base. Like, you've always had a little influence. So for someone to be like hesitant about it, I think that's already their answer. Like, you want to be a Marine. I feel like if you think about being a Marine, you want to be a Marine. Like, you don't just sit there and be like, nah, like, I don't know if I want to. You do. I was like, you just need that one little step forward. So if you're worried about talking to Marines, if you're worried about talking to anybody in any of the branches, just do it, because you already want to do it. You're just not committing to that next step of taking it forward.
Got you. That's great advice. That's great advice, and I hope you guys listen to it. One last thing, right? What are you most excited for, looking forward into the future? You know, moving forward through the process, you know, shipping out the boot camp, becoming a Marine. What are you most excited for?
I'm definitely most excited for walking across that parade deck. Like, I've heard the stories, you know, from my stepfather and my grandfather, and, you know, being a Marine is something different. Like, you see it, you watch videos of it, and you're just like sitting there like, wow, like they went through that to become a Marine. Like, and now they're at that family day, seeing their parents and stuff like that. And that's truly what I'm looking forward to. Like, I know how emotional it can get, and I know to see my parents to like stand there, I think, and look at me and be like, that's something she wanted to do. I feel like that would be something that I want to experience in life. Like, I want my parents to stand there and look at me and be like, she's a Marine now. Like, I've heard it from my grandfather and my stepfather, and they're like, oh yeah, we'll be there because we've been there before in the same footsteps you've been in. But I think to have my family that's not involved in the military to see me in that position would be something different. I feel like it would give them a different viewpoint of it, to see their own daughter especially. But I think in general, everybody's really looking forward to receiving that Eagle Globe and Anchor. Yeah. Especially for the 13 weeks that they're going through. Like, as much as I love the adventure that the military gives you and like the experiences, I think the biggest point for me is earning that Eagle Globe and Anchor at the end of the day.
Gotcha. Yeah. I know you'll make it happen, man. I know you'll be successful. And I really appreciate your time and your input, your insight as a part of you know, this interview. Where can people find you? Like, if they have questions, right, about the process or about the Marine Corps, maybe they're not comfortable, right, reaching out to one of us. Maybe they can reach out to you. Can they find you on Instagram somewhere? How can people reach out to you if they have questions?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram for 111.larsen, so 111.larsen. I'm on Instagram. I also have a Facebook, Kiana Larsen. It's my first and last name. Either or, you can reach out to me on. Like, I normally respond pretty fast, like, especially if it's anything that does with the recruiters, the military, anything like that. I'm pretty spot on in responding to you. I might not have all the questions, but that's why I also have the recruiters here. So if it's something that I can't answer to the best of my abilities, I'll talk with them, and I'm able to talk to others through that. But that's pretty much where you can reach me at.
Dude, super cool, man. I really appreciate you. And as a matter of fact, today's Thursday and it's a PT day, so we got to cut this. You know, we've reached the end of our time because we got to get ready for PT. So
Yes,
we really appreciate your time once again, man. I hope you guys got something good out of this. And yeah, if you'd like to know more, please reach out. Our Instagram handle is at Boise_Marines, and we're more than willing to help you and help you discover your opportunities inside of the Marine Corps and reach new levels of success. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you. You won't regret it. Awesome.
Thanks, Steve. I appreciate it. That was
Thank
great.
you.